damn, it is crazy. The base damage is stupid because why? It takes a quick explanation about the difference between base damage, additive damage, multiplicative damage, and alternative damage, I like to call it. So base damage is the base damage you see on the skill. It basically acts as another source of multiplicative damage. So you're just going to treat it the same way that you would treat any other multiplier to your damage. Additive damage, however, is different, where all of the different sources of additive damage are added together and then multiplied against your base damage. And then we have multiplicative damage, which takes that base damage times the sum of your additive damage and multiplies all of that with all of your multipliers. And then we have alternative damage. These are sort of like mechanical changes to a skill that make it hit more times, make a damage over time last longer, make a damage over time tick more quickly, things like that. That's why Fireball is so good in this case, is because the gloves of the Illuminator make Fireball bounce 4 times total. One in front of you, one a little bit further, another one a little bit further, and then another one a bit further. But what makes the glove so good is that every bounce of the fireball can hit the same target if that target is within the next AoE. So in the middle of the second bounce overlaps perfectly with the edge of the third and the first bounce. And so you can actually hit a target 3 times once you have these gloves equipped. And that essentially triples the DPS. Effectively, you're probably going to multiply your overall DPS by about 250% because no one has perfect aim, anything like that. And then not to mention the gloves also have amazing stats on them, help you regenerate your resource, and the gloves also give 3 to 4 levels to Fireball, which gives it around 15 to 20% more base DPS, which we just talked about is a multiplier. And then you couple that with the Staff of Endless Rage, which gives 2 extra Fireballs every 3 casts, which these extra Fireballs can also shotgun the same way that the bouncy ones do. Couple these two together and you go from hitting a target with a Fireball once to hitting a target with a Fireball 15 times at the very top end if you have perfect aim. And also every 3rd cast of the staff gives you a large multiplier as well, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And then not to mention the staff also gives levels to Inner Flame, so it gives you another damage multiplier that you normally wouldn't be able to get. The gloves and the staff all together give 250% alternative damage, 66% alternative damage, 20% base damage, 40% more damage, and 9% more damage. Not to mention the amazing affixes that both of the uniques give you. It's basically like having 2 offensive aspects on both your 2-hander and your amulet for the extra bonuses to damage and everything. It's just insane. You know what else is insane though? Are the mana issues. Oh my god. Towards the end of the video, you'll see the gear I'm using and think, that's almost all best in slot. How the hell am I gonna get enough mana for this build? And the honest answer is you're probably not in the way that it looks on screen right now. You'll have to hamper your DPS in order to get more mana. That means no glass cannon, swap it out for fiery surge. That means replacing elemental attunement with the soulfire perk lower in the tree as well. It also means you have to always make sure that Blizzard's Wizzy Blizzy Glizzy perk is always up, and you use your Inferno when you're out of mana after you spam Fireball a ton, and then you're out of mana, then you use Inferno with its perk that makes Pyromancy skills cost 0 mana, so that when you're at 0 mana you cast Inferno and then let it regenerate while you're continuing to cast. And by the time you're out of like 3 or 4 bars of mana, a boss is probably gonna be dead. And that's also why we take the Unleash glyph, because we're desperate. And the Unleash glyph is underrated. It's much better than what I originally thought. But altogether, I'm able to get 49 mana regeneration while killing mobs and 25 mana regen when fighting bosses. And that isn't even enough when you have the Ravenous Vampiric Power coupled with the aspect of Ancient Flame for getting that maximum attack speed. But aside from that tiny little problem of never having enough mana, it's nuts. It clears packs off screen sometimes, amazing for speeding through dungeon corridors. It's kind of weak at point blank range, so you'll have to maneuver a good bit, but it feels good regardless. And not to mention, this build is very hardcore friendly because there are a lot of damage reduction from burning enemies modifiers in the Paragon board and from affixes, so it's going to be easy to make yourself insanely tanky as well. I mean, you can see on screen we're able to kill Duriel before he burrows a second time. This is almost as meta of a meta skill as you can get. I would actually say it's probably better than Ball Lightning overall because of the clear speed. The damage, of course, nothing is as good as Ball Lightning. It's just stupid. Well, I guess Double Swing is, but overall, I mean, I would rather be playing Fireball than Ball Lightning if I was going to choose as meta of a skill as possible. I don't know if Fireball is even a meta skill at this point. I haven't really seen too many other people talking about it, but I mean, just look at it. It just melts. It just melts. And doing a tier 100 Nightmare Dungeon was easy. The biggest threat in that Nightmare Dungeon was the Stormbane's Wrath, and and it almost one-shot me multiple times, and I was like, what is this? Why is, like, the mobs in the dungeon are just dying, like, instantly. The boss got just melted, he just disintegrated away. But the Stormbane's Wrath was the most dangerous part of the T100 dungeon. I actually had like a 25-second Kicksarth kill in a Helltide. That's also not a big deal. And I bring that up because even on a high movement unit like Kicksarth, you're still able to min-max your DPS by a large amount. And the reason why Duriel melted so quickly is because he's extremely easy to hit all 3 bounces of all 5 fireballs over 3 casts with, because he has such a large hitbox. So you don't have to be so precise with your aim, and you're able to just go to town on him. This build, obviously it's S tier. It trivializes all content in the game the same way that Ball Lightning does. It's definitely a bit weaker than Ball Lightning for the single target DPS. However, the AoE is so gigantic. I was able to get over 1200 cinders in Helltide in less than half an hour. It's just so much fun. Like, if you can get this stuff, do it. Like, if you want to feel powerful and like omnipotent to a stupid degree, I would just get this. Just play some Fireball. It's so fun. But again, if you look at the gear, you're gonna see that we have as close to best in slot, as close to perfect of a staff as possible for a Staff of Endless Rage. It's disgusting. I know this. Like, I understand that it's disgusting. I understand that the gloves as well are almost all max rolls. So this is going to be the absolute top end of this build, or so you would think. The neck I'm using is just a generically good Sork neck. I believe I could get somewhere around 50% more damage overall, but I've been using this neck piece in between multiple builds, so, you know, it's just really good. You would probably be able to one-shot Uber Lilith at that point. So everything you've seen here, it can go about 50% more burr than what you're seeing, and that's just insane, right? Anyway, that's gonna be it for me. I love this build. It's S tier. It really is, especially when you min-max your gear perfectly. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns below. I read all the comments. I love reading what you guys have to say. It's been really fun just talking to you guys about all these new builds and everything. And I've gotten a lot of ideas from you guys, so I really appreciate that as well. Thank you. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next one.